Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah amma ba'd. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, brothers and sisters. Welcome to another episode of Chai with my Bhai. Today's episode, inshallah, we've got a very, very special guest who I'll get onto in a second. But before I do, let me just tell you what the episode is going to be about. Now, you hear a lot of people using the term haram police nowadays. You know, brother, why are you judging? You know, only God can judge me. And so on and so forth. And brother, why are you always refuting? And you know, why are you guys always saying this and that and whatnot? And you hear this very, very common, very, very often, especially amongst the youngsters of today. So we're going to discuss this from a few different issues, a few different angles, and just get the brothers' perceptions and, you know, different solutions to this problem. So obviously we've got the usual panel of Brother Imran, Saad and Strides.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
And we've also got Brother Abu Abdul Aziz.
Who's
come all the way from Saudi Arabia, not just for this show, obviously he's here just generally, but we thought, you know,
may Allah bless you.
I mean, you know, just benefit from his presence, inshallah, while he's here before he goes back to resume studies. So who was the kick-off this particular one? I think we should be Saad, because you haven't started for a long time.
No, I started off in the...
When? Exactly. So, Saad, first of all, you know, haram police, what comes to your mind when you hear the word haram police?
What comes to my mind?
Don't say worms.
How would he ever say worms?
Do you remember the first ever show?
Oh,
Wobblers.
Wobblers.
So what comes to mind when you think of Wobblers? The first thing that ran me just goes worms.
Yeah, worms.
Because they were
I just had deja vu in it. But
I actually saw him in Blackburn, you know that?
who?
The Wobblers guy.
Which one?
Forgot his name.
Oh, the guy who said, "Oh, you can call them wobblers."
Yeah.
Then he got sacked.
So basically, I was in Blackburn.
Who's
you know,
it?
I forgot something.
From a TV channel.
Yeah.
We'll play the clip.
We'll play the clip.
Yeah,
Yeah, they
so-
can see it.
So basically, we were doing some fundraising in Blackburn. So one brother said, "Go ask him for money," and I never knew who he was. So I said, "Yeah, Sheikh," in Arabic, "Donate for the sake of Allah." Yeah, I thought it was him. I said, "This is the guy who said wobblers." He was actually giving me a dirty look with his family. Allah understand. And then I was laughing that day. Now, barakallah fikum.
So what comes to your mind when you hear the word haram police?
So, haram, please, just... I'll be honest, innit? You know what it reminds me? It reminds me of a video that I did called Haram Police about 2 years ago, innit?
No.
Yeah.
What was the content of that video?
It was the same kind of situation, innit? A lot of people, when they hear the term haram police, all you think about is there's that one person and he's coming up to you and everything you do is that haram, 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 haram. Yeah, and that was basically what the video was about.
Strides, what about you? What comes to your mind when you hear the word haram police? Or what do you see?
No, I've actually got a series called Haram Police, innit?
So are you a member of? Have you got a badge?
Stuff. I don't know if you'd say there's a badge to, you know, Haram Police, but, you know, it just makes you think of, like, childish behaviour, innit? Like, people just being childish, going, like, come on, man. So you're going to call me Haram Police?
So what do you associate with haram police?
Haram police is basically when you see someone and you think that he's someone who is basically mutashaddid, someone who's strict, someone who doesn't want us to have fun, someone who actually makes everything haram for us. That's what comes to my head.
I'm guessing, Imran, you got anything else to add to that in terms of what you perceive?
So, obviously, alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah amma ba'd. Our brother Abu Abdul Aziz, he mentioned it from the perspective of the people, right?
Mhm.
The ones who are calling.
That's how they see it. Yeah.
That's how they would see it. I just want to look at it from a different angle. I want to look at it from an angle of not from the angle of the one who's doing the sin, that's saying, "Hey, why are you, being strict on me?" I want to look at it from the angle of the Sharia. Generally speaking, the people who are referred to as haram police are those who uphold the boundaries of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They tell you this is not permissible, akhi, you cannot do this. Sister, why are you behaving in this way? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be displeased with you. My brother, why are you doing this? Do you not know that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam prohibited this, right? So the people who are genuinely concerned about your well-being in this life and the afterlife are seen to be haram police.
Okay, so haram police is basically a term that people use to describe people who, in other words, are forbidding the wrong
Yeah,
and maybe also enjoining the good, right?
both. You have to do both.
Okay, so what's wrong with that? What's wrong with the term haram police? Is there anything wrong with using that term? Can you not use that term for someone? If someone comes up to you and says, "Look, this is haram," or what are the connotations assigned to that word that are
It's used
negative?
as a derogatory term, innit? It's used as a term that's used to mock those who are doing a act of worship, subhanallah. calling to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, telling you to stay away from this evil and come to this good. It's an act of worship that you're doing. And then not only are you doing an act of worship, but people want to now come and tell you you're haram police, making a mockery of this noble act that you're trying to do for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's sake. That's a severe matter in and within itself.
It could actually potentially, I'm not trying to place a hukum on anyone, but we have to be worried. It could potentially fall under mocking the deen. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, قُلْ أَبِاللَّهِ وَآيَاتِهِ وَرَسُولِهِ كُنْتُمْ تَسْتَهْزِئُونَ قَدْ كَفَرْتُمْ بَعْدَ إِيمَانِكُمْ لا تعتذروا قد كفرتم بعد إيمانكم. بارك الله فيك. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about Allah's verses and about Allah and His verses and His messenger that you're mocking Allah and His verses and His messenger. Allah said, don't make any excuses. You are now kuffar. You used to be believers, but now you fell into kuffar. Why? Purely on the issue of mocking. So these are verses that we have. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He praised us to be the best of nation. Why? Because we enjoin the good and we forbid the evil. We say this is evil, this is haram, stay away from this. And we say this is good, do this. Umar ibn al-Khattab radiyallahu anhu said the khayriyah, the good of this ummah is connected to them doing this. To them enjoining the good, saying brother do this and staying away from this evil. If you don't do that, then we don't have this status of being from the best of ummah. Do you see where I'm coming from? So these are ayat upon which a person he positions himself to say, "Akhi, this is wrong," and for a person to be mocking that now, that's dangerous.
So Abu Abdulaziz, why do you think people, when someone comes up to them and says to them, "Look, sister or brother, this thing that you're doing is haram. This thing that you're doing is wrong. Maybe you could fix it." Why do you think those people suddenly get defensive and say, "No, you're haram, please. Why are you doing this? No, you can't speak to me." Why is that there in the first place?
Akhil Kareem, barakallah fi jazakallah khair. I think because when you do this, you are going against their desire. And deep down they know that they're doing wrong. But when we advise one another, we need to do it with rifq, with leniency. And Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah said, if you're going to advise me in private, because if you do it in public, it's as if you're shaming me.
And Imam Shafi'i said that.
No.
And if he's saying that, subhanAllah, what about the average person?
And also, like Allah barik fik, sorry to interrupt, having hikmah, having wisdom, doing it at the right time, at the right place. And also, Allah barik fikum, as Umar ibn Khattab radiyallahu anhu said, we judge upon the apparent. نحكم على الظاهر. We judge a person based upon the apparent. Also Shaykh Salih al-Fawzan said the same thing. What's in the heart, only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows. But judging an individual doesn't mean that we think that we're better than him or that we're more superior than them. Allah knows best.
That's a very good point, because one thing is relevant to that point. What do you mean by judge? Because like you said, the Umar radiallahu anhu, he said that when the revelation was coming, the revelation would tell us, who the hypocrites were and who were not. But since the revelation stopped, we judge people based on their outer actions. If they show us good, we take from them good. We trust them. If they show us evil, then we don't trust them, and we don't talk. So what is considered to be judging and what isn't? And like, for example, can I come now and say, "Look, you did this. You're going to the hellfire."
No.
Or can I just say, "Look, this is wrong. This is what Islam says. This is what you should be doing." So where do you draw that line? Where are those boundaries?
You know what it is? There's a big difference between judging someone for what they have in their heart and what they intend,
placing a hukum on them.
And placing a hukum on them, and then judging someone by the action that they're doing.
What do you mean by hukum?
The ruling.
What kind of ruling? Like
he's making a very valid point. Yeah. Forget the hukum thing for a second.
As in, there's a big difference between judging a person on that which they have inside their heart and that which they intend, and judging them by the action that they're doing. That just the action. For example, say a person, they're praying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You can't come and say, "Oh yeah, you're not praying to Allah," because and they're actually in salah, but you don't know their intention. That maybe they may, but from the outwards, what you see is that, okay, he's doing his salah, he's got the pillars of the salah is there in present in him. You can't judge him for saying you're not praying to Allah, because that's what's in his heart.
I can't now come and say, "Oh, he's a believer, he's definitely going to Jannah," because of the action. The same way I can't now see a person who's drinking alcohol and say this person is going to go to the hellfire. But what I can do is I can judge the action and say this is an action of hellfire.
Yeah, and this is a sin that you're doing. Do you understand?
So judge the sin.
Yeah, we're judging the sin,
not the sinner. But in a sense, because the sinner is the one doing the sin.
The sinner can't even be judged, but it's not for us to do that. The ulama, they were the ones who placed takfir, where they say this person's a kafir, or they do tabdi' and they say this person's a mubtadi', or they do tafsiq and they say this person's a sinner, right? That's not for us to do. It's not our job. We're not trying. It's not my job. It's not our life mission to go out there and label, you're a fasiq now. You're a sinner. Sister, you're a sinner. You're a fasiqah. That's it. I've done it. No, my job is more just to make you aware. This is fisq. This is a sin. This is kufr. This is bid'ah. Do you see what you're doing?
I think this is one of the root causes of confusion for many people. Because many people, they say, look, only Allah can judge me. Only God can judge me. You can't judge me. You can't tell me that this is wrong, this and that. And so that's why we need to be very, very clear. Like you just clarified now, what we mean by judgment. We don't mean we're not judging you in terms of you're going to the hell, you're going to Jannah. What we're saying is this action that you're doing.
Yeah, generally speaking, we are judging the action, and we're telling you.
But people conflict and say no. Only God can judge me. They mix the two together, which is a big problem.
On that point, actually, some people actually believe that you can't judge them for their actions that they're doing. Some people actually believe that they feel as if that no, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will decide if this is correct or wrong. Mm-hmm. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala
has already
decided. Do you understand? We're just conveying that to you from the Quran and the Sunnah of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So a lot of people actually get that confused as well, innit? That they start thinking, no, you can't judge me for the sin that I'm doing because Allah will tell me if that's right or wrong at the end of the day, kind of thing. Just to make that clear as well.
I think also some people, when they think that you're actually looking down upon them, that you're actually belittling them, that you think that you're better than them. No, wallahi. Maybe this person who's done that sin is more closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than me. Maybe this individual will enter the Jannah and I might go to the hellfire. When we do this, we don't think that you're better than us. The Prophet ﷺ, when he described arrogance, he said, Al-kibru batrul haq wa ghamtun nas. The arrogance is that you reject the truth and you belittle the people. So by us advising you, we are not belittling you. Wallahi, we want the khair for you. We want what's good for you. And Allah knows best.
It's like the Prophet ﷺ said, Ad-din nasiha, right? The Sahaba asked Liman, to who? And he mentioned to Allah, His book, to the rulers, and the ammatun nas, the general people, right? So this religion is nasiha. We have to advise one another. Do you see? So nasiha, look, the tazkiyah to nafs is how you purify yourself, right? When you do tazkiyah, that's how you purify yourself. You say, look,
what's tazkiyah?
Purification. So I translate.
We're just trying to make sure you guys understand everything that's being said.
I think sometimes
you're right.
You get carried away.
You're right. The test, the fitna that you go through, right? That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the way He tests you. Where remember, fitna can mean different things. It can mean trial, tribulation. It can mean kufr. It can also just mean test. Mm-hmm. Okay. So if there is a fitna for you, that Allah places a trial over you, a test over you, that test is going to be a means of purification for you. As Allah says in Surah Al-Ankabut, the reason we do this, why? Is so that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will know who is truthful and who's a liar when they make the claim that I believe, right? So fitna is when Allah purifies you. Tazkiyah is when you purify yourself. Nasiha is when the society purifies you. Nasiha is when I raise, there's a mistake, brother. You got to fix this, you got to correct this. Do you see? Because sometimes you're not going to see a mistake on yourself that someone else might see. That's why the Prophet ﷺ said that the believers are like a mirror to one another. So if I don't look at the mirror, I'm not going to know what new spot I have on my face. I'm not going to know what grey hair popped out on my beard. I'm not going to know that my skin is rough and dry. You know, I'm either going to look in the mirror or my brother's going to tell me, right? So the same way, the believers are like that when it comes to the sins. Right? That we are a reflection of one another. So you might look at me and you say, Akhi, look, brother, what have you done? You know, you trimmed your beard. Akhi, look, I see you doing this on Instagram. You're reflecting what I may not be able to see. I may have become blinded by my desires because I haven't purified my own nafs with Allah's permission. So that allows you to help me purify myself with Allah's permission by you identifying to me what my shortcomings are. This is an institution that Allah placed for us to be purified from all different directions. Allah is going to purify you through the test. You're going to purify yourself through your own personal self-reflection, your own personal jihad and nafs. And then the society is going to come and help purify you through nasiha, through advice. Do you see where I'm coming from? And shaitan has he's limited us from purifying ourselves through tazkiyah. He's put this thing in us of, you can't advise me, you can't judge me, so that the people can't help purify me, right? And all that's left is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to test you. And even that, the people are like, Why is Allah testing me?
So just to confirm,
I just
Allah
make
said
a-
in the Quran.
Sorry, I just want to make a point. Sorry to interrupt, Akhi. You know, some people, when you advise them, or you wanna go advise someone, they say, alaykum anfusakum.
No.
Upon you yourself, Akhi.
No.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says,
Basically, think about yourself.
yes, think.
Bruv, look at your own self.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يا الذين آمنوا عليكم أنفسكم لا يضركم من ضل إذا اهتديتم. Oh, who you believe, upon you is yourself. It will not harm you if others are misguided, but you are guided. Now, this ayah doesn't mean that you should not enjoy the good and forbid the evil.
Sahih.
Because a lot of people, they understand this ayah like, khalas, upon me myself, and I don't enjoy the good, nor forbid the evil. No, this is ghalat. Allah says, upon you to what? Enjoy the good and forbid the evil. And if you are guiding others are misguided, it will not harm you.
Yeah.
So that's the meaning of this ayah. That's the tafsir of this ayah.
Meaning, it's not upon you if they're guided at the end of the day,
No.
but at the end of the day, that doesn't absolve you from still putting the effort in to try and call them to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Like Nuh alayhi salam, he gave his son, I'm sure Nuh alayhi salam, he gave his son the best tarbiyah.
No.
You know, and then Nuh alayhi salam's son was from the kafirin, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions. Does this mean that Nuh alayhi salam failed as a father? No. Nuh alayhi salam gave his son the best tarbiyah. But the hidayah is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We cannot change the people. It's إنك, as Allah says, إنك لا تهدي من أحببت ولكن الله يهدي من يشاء. We cannot change the people. It's only Allah Azza wa Jal that guides whom He wants.
No,
Upon us
sorry.
is just to advise one another with hikmah and with maw'idha, with wisdom and with good words, and we keep it moving.
Can we just deal with this issue of hikmah for a second though? Because some people believe hikmah is to make the religion easy.
Mm-hmm.
They'll say to you, Akhi man, why are you telling the sisters that, you know, they can't wear makeup, bruv? That's not hikmah, man. Like, bruv, it's going to push her away from the deen. Akhi man, why are you telling them, like, they can't listen to these music nasheeds? It's going to make the religion hard for them, bro. Like, what is hikmah, Sa'ad? Because I know you love the definition of hikmah. Wisdom. What is
Still
it?
there on my WhatsApp, huh?
Huh? Still, yeah, I saw it the other day. Did you see it there?
Yes.
It's there, yeah.
يعني they say الوضع الشيء في موضعه. It is to place something in its right place.
Okay.
يعني it's not about not telling the sister that she can't wear makeup.
No.
It's just about the way you portray that message
Sahih.
and the time that you portray it.
Yeah.
Okay, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't portray it at all, which is
Sahih.
what a lot of people push. They say to you, no, don't tell them that it's haram. Don't tell them it's haram, because then they will leave the religion even more because they're already on the edge. But we can't do that. That's not what hikmah is. Hikmah is, I still got to tell that sister that message. I got to tell this brother he can't listen to music. I got to tell this sister it's haram. But I have to say it in the right manner. Okay, I have to say it at the right time. Maybe right now, you know, they might be in a depressed state, and it might not be the right time for me to give the message now. Maybe in the morning when he wakes up, it might be the right time. You see what I'm saying? That's what hikmah is. It's not about just, you know, oh, akhi, don't tell him.
You know why that is?
Also hikmah is, as the ulama they say,
No.
al-isab bil-qawl wal-amal, that you're both correct in speech and action. So, this is
Also, just the ayah in Surah Al-Baqarah where Allah says, "Utiya hikmah." Was it Utiya hikmah? Utiya hikmah.
أوتي حكمة. hold on. This thing. فمن أوتي الحكمة فقد أوتي خيرا كثيرا or something like this.
Yeah, I don't remember the ayah in Arabic exactly, but in Surah Al-Baqarah Allah mentioned that whoever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given hikmah, wisdom to, He has given them a very big thing, a very huge amount. Because I remember some brothers were messing with my head. They were saying, it's not wise, hikmah, wisdom. It's like their favorite word, right? And I thought, okay, as I was reading, just generally doing my qira'ah of Quran, my tilawat of Quran, I came across this ayah and I said, subhanAllah, let me just check the tafsir of this. Now, since we're here on the topic. And I was shocked when I opened up the tafsir and how the Salaf explained what wisdom means. For example, Abdullah ibn Abbas radiyallahu anhuma, he mentioned the hikmah is knowing the nasikh and the mansukh, the abrogated verses and the ones that abrogated verses and the ones that abrogated them. And it's knowing ilm of the Quran, the Sunnah, Suddi, Dhahak and the rest of them. So they all explain this. Mujahid rahimahullah says something powerful. Al-Faqih wal-Mutafaqih, Sheikh Khatib al-Baghdadi rahimahullah, he has a fasl in the book where he brings this ayah. It's a subheading in the book. Chapter subheading. Because Bab is chapter. So fasl is a subheading in which he brings this ayah and then he brings all the statements from the Salaf on how they explained it. And he brought Mujahid rahimahullah. And Mujahid one really was powerful. He said that hikmah, wisdom, is to know the Quran, to have knowledge of it. But not just that, to also know the meaning of the Quran. If a person hasn't got knowledge of the Quran and the Quran itself, i.e. memorized it or understands it, then this person has no wisdom. So it's shocking because a lot of the people who are out there screaming hikmah, 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 wisdom, they can't even read the Quran. Or they don't go out their way to study, and they're just on the sidelines and they're just telling you, use wisdom, use wisdom. But akhi, if you ask, akhi, tell me one ayah that was abrogated and the verse that abrogated it, they won't be able to tell you. So this issue of hikmah is not something that a lot of the time the general mass can know, right? The reason I mention this is because some people might look at our da'wah and say, there's no hikmah, you shouldn't have said this, you shouldn't have said this. Not that I'm saying we're ulama or anything of that sort or anything like that, right? But it's very easy, like it's like they say, man jahila shay'an aada. Anyone who is ignorant of a particular thing would hate it. I'll be honest, I'm like that. I hate change because I don't know what's on the other side. But then when that change comes on, I'm like, yo, that wasn't so bad. I actually enjoyed that. That was nice. I look forward to that again. So that's a human thing. But I think it's just generally we should humble ourselves. Sometimes I hear a statement from the mashayikh or the ulama, I'm like, whoa, what's that hikmah? But that's for me to know my place and shut up and say, listen, akhi, you're not the one who's got the mountain and ocean of knowledge that this particular shaykh or alim has. So he said this statement based on him having a deep insight that's going to take me years. I may not even get to that statement or understanding after years of study because he surpassed me in knowledge. So when someone is a bit more educated in the deen than you and they do exercise a particular kind of position, don't be quick to say that's not wisdom. Not to say that you can never advise, but just generally speaking, don't be so quick to second guess that person because that person's coming from some kind of a base from the text which another person might not be coming with. I just thought it was important to highlight.
I was just going to mention this issue of hikmah as well. A lot of the time people, they tend to use the word hikmah in essence of the end goal that they're reaching. So they look at, is this if the end goal is gonna be good, then whatever their means may be, that's how you define what hikmah is. So a lot of people get this.
The results.
Yeah, they judge the results.
Yeah,
the ends
so in other words, if you made a video and you lost subscribers, they will say there was no hikmah in it.
There was no hikmah in it. Or if you didn't get views, they will say, yes, because there was no hikmah in it. But on the other hand, if there's, look, loads of people are watching this video, loads of people are coming to Islam because of this guy singing, they'll be like, look, he's using hikmah.
Even if videos with girls, but he gets views, it was hikmah.
That's a problem. So just to confirm, in case anyone watching has missed it, so Allah commanded us in the Quran to forbid the evil. Is that correct? Yeah. Allah commanded us in the Quran.
Yeah, just on this point as well. Yeah, because
I don't think a lot of people understand that.
Yeah.
Actually realize.
So you have to understand how deep it is. Yeah. Allah said, لُعِنَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا مِن بَنِي إِسْرَائِيلَ عَلَى لِسَانِ دَاوُودَ وَعِيسَى بْنِ مَرْيَمَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said there is a curse upon the children of Israel. There's a curse upon the disbelievers from the children of Israel because they were not all kuffar. Some of them were very righteous people who followed their prophets, followed their messengers. So, but there was those from amongst them who were disbelievers, right? What was the reason why Isa and Dawood cursed? Allah said there is a curse upon the tongue of their prophets, David and Jesus, Isa and Dawood, for the disbelievers from Banu Israel. Why? Because they never used to prohibit the evil. They never used to say, this what you're doing is munkar. What you're doing, stop it. They would just sit there, they would just let it happen. So akhi, I'm personally scared. I'm very scared of being cursed by Dawood or Isa alayhi salam to fall under their curse. So when I see something wrong, I have to correct it.
Okay.
There's many examples. Many verses. The Prophet said, "Man ra'a minkum munkaran falyughayyirhu biyadihi, fa in lam yastati' fa bilisanihi, fa in lam yastati' fa biqalbihi, wa dhalika ad'afu al-iman." Look at this hadith, it's very powerful. And if you only reflect upon your own situation, it might shock you a little bit. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Man, anyone from amongst you, anyone. You don't have to be a scholar. Man, anyone. Man ra'a minkum munkaran. Anyone from amongst you who sees an evil, change it with your hand." If you cannot change it with your hand, okay, because you feel like this is, you don't have control over the situation, or they might create more harm by you actually stopping the person, whatever have you, then with your tongue. All of us can pretty much do this. But if you don't even have the ability to change it with your tongue, then at least hate it in your heart. وَذَلِكَ أَضْعَفُ الْإِيمَانِ. And that is the weakest of iman. Pay attention. Generally speaking, all of us can pretty much do it with our tongue. Yeah, that's where the overwhelming majority of us fall under this. Some people will say, oh, the reason I cannot do it is because people are going to insult me and attack me. Imam Ahmad rahimahullah, Imam Ibn Jawzi rahimahullah, Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah, they all mentioned, in various places in their works, that for a person to say, I'm scared of people blaming me, attacking me, insulting me, doesn't mean that you don't have ability. Because if that was the case, then the Prophets never had ability, because people are always going to attack. They're always going to attack, and they're always going to mock who? They're always going to mock the one who stands up to forbid the evil. That's always going to happen. Do you see what I'm saying? But if you just genuinely don't have ability, your life is at stake, someone might harm you because you might speak out against the evil, at least you hate it in your heart. Majority of people don't do it on the tongue. Question: do you even hate it in your heart? Because the Prophet said that's the lowest of iman. What iman is after that? A lot of people are saying, nah, I can't forbid the evil. But actually, okay, fine. You can't change it with your hand. Okay, there's sisters that are, wearing dress, brothers who are doing things, drinking alcohol, going clubbing. Okay, you can't change it with your hand. You can't even speak out against them. Do you hate it in your heart? I'm not judging you, because this is a situation's heart. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, بَلِ الْإِنسَانِ عَلَى نَفْسِهِ بَصِيرًا. The human being is more aware of his own situation. Do you hate it in your heart? Because what iman do you have after that? Because that was the lowest form of iman that the Prophet ﷺ mentioned.
That's a very, very powerful point, because a lot of people, they don't feel that. No, so
even me, I'm being honest with you. This scared me. Sometimes I think to myself, sometimes munkar is happening in front of me, and we become so evil, filth and sins, and you're desensitized. And I'm like, whoa. Sometimes I might be laughing. Sometimes someone mentions a sin, and you might joke about it. Sorry,
I think sometimes when you're used to seeing the munkar, it becomes something. Obviously, you start first doing inkar, and you start hating your heart, and then because you see it every day, it becomes something which is normal to you, and it becomes something which is normal to you. That's one thing. Also, regarding changing with your head, ما رأى منكم منكرا فليغير بيده فإن لم يستطع فبلسانه فإن لم يستطع فبقلبه وذلك أضعف الإيمان. If a person sees an evil, change it with his hand. Now, changing it with your hand, this goes to the person that has authority. For example, you are a father, Rabbul Bayt, you are the Muslim leader, you have someone that has authority in changing it. I'll give you an example, like مثلا in Saudi Arabia, they have something which is called Hayat Amr al-Ma'ruf wal-Nahy al-Munkar, which is the religious police. So basically, they have authority.
They're the Haram police.
Yeah, they're the
actual real Haram police.
Yeah.
Certified. It's a paid job, huh?
No, it's a paid job.
This is they have the badge.
They have the badge. So they're the ones who are given permission, for example, to do the certain acts, because they're the ones who are being placed by the government. So, and the second thing is hating it with your heart, speaking out with your tongue, and the third thing is hating with the heart, and that's the lowest of iman. May Allah forgive us for our shortcomings. I think when we get used to the munkar, to the haram, then it becomes normal to us, and it's like astaghfirullah.
So just going to make one final question on the director Asad, inshallah, and then we'll end it there, inshallah. I just want to ask, so say for example, it's on the issue of advising here. I think a lot of people have this question as well, and I'm asking you because you were there when someone asked us that, so hopefully you'll be able to remember what you answered. Say for example, there is a person who smokes, for example, and his friend also smokes. Can that person, who he himself is doing the sin, can he go and advise someone else who's doing the sin? Or is that person now a hypocrite because he's advising someone while he's doing the same sin? Like from what a dad, he's telling his son not to smoke, but he's smoking himself. Does that make him a hypocrite, and does that mean he can't advise him, or should he still advise him?
Before I answer the question, can I mention something else?
Go on.
I've been waiting in it. I'm trying to cut in. But just going back to the issue of judging, innit, right?
Take us right back to the beginning.
Because that's what we were talking about, innit? And I was just waiting for the right time, but I don't like to interrupt, and mashallah, speaking, right? But just to show to you, right, not only an evidence that it is from one of the actions that the people of the Sunnah do, which is judging people from the apparent, but also the importance that we should judge people by the apparent as well, okay? In terms of when it comes to the Islam. And it's the hadith which is narrated in Sahih Bukhari, Sahih Muslim, about Usama ibn Zayd, okay? Usama ibn Zayd, when he mentioned that they went on an expedition, okay? And they were in battle. And they were fighting, and there was a man that he came across from the opposition side, and he said, La ilaha illallah. Now we all know La ilaha illallah is the testimony of faith. Anyone that says that, from the apparent, we judge them to be a Muslim. Okay? Usama, when he, radiallahu anhu, when he saw and heard him say that, he ignored it. And he went straight to him and he killed him. Okay? After that took place, he decided to go back to the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, just like all of the companions would do whenever an issue would happen. They would go back to the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam to go and ask about what just happened. Okay? And this again, it's an evidence to show that whenever an issue happens, we take it back to the scholars. We take it back to the ulama to clarify matters for us. So he went back to the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, explained that, I was in a battle, there was a man, opposite side, he said, La ilaha illallah. To be honest, I thought he was just saying it out of, just because he was scared that he knew I was coming with the sword, and so I just killed him. Okay? And then the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam looked at Usama, he said, yeah, Usama. He said, La ilaha illallah, and you killed him?
Subhanallah.
He said, La ilaha illallah, yet you still killed him? And then that's when Osama explained, he said, Ya Rasulullah, he only did it out of fear of my sword.
Because he was killing people on the battlefield.
Exactly, he was killing people on the battlefield. So he said, when he saw me coming towards him, he got scared and he said, let me just say La ilaha illallah, he'll think I'm a Muslim and he won't attack me. And then the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to Osama, he said, Ya Osama, what are you going to do with La ilaha illallah on the Day of Judgment? On the Day of Judgment, when that La ilaha illallah comes to you, what are you going to do? The point that the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam is mentioning is that you should have judged him by the apparent. He said, La ilaha illallah. We don't care what's in his heart. We don't care whether he right now intended to say that just out of fear or whether he truly meant it. But from the apparent, he said, La ilaha illallah. So that shows us that this person, from the apparent, he's a Muslim. You see what I'm saying? Just show.
Some people go the other extreme.
People go the other extreme as well. They go the other extreme.
I just come back to that. We're not concerned with some of people's hearts. That's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even, for example, when the scholars, they pronounce a person to be a kafir due to something that is based on the action of the heart, we don't dive into the heart. Only when the person makes apparent on his tongue what he's, the kufr in his heart. For example, the issue of, you cannot, anyone who legislates by other than Allah's law, he is a kafir. من لم يحكم بما أنزل الله فأولئك هم الكافرون. Anyone who doesn't judge by the book of Allah, a person is a kafir, right? But of course, you can go and watch Ustad Abdurrahman's video. He explains that this kufr is of two types, because there's kufr akbar and asghar. So this issue is not always major kufr. It can also be minor kufr. The times when it becomes major kufr is when the action of the heart follows it, right? Exactly. So how do I know what's in this leader's heart if he's ruling by other than Allah's law? If he tells me, for example, I believe that this democracy is better than the book of Allah. If he says that on his tongue, only then I know what's in his heart. You see? So our concern is not what's in the heart. Only what is apparent. If he makes apparent what's in his heart, no problem. But we don't go out of our way to dive into the heart. We're not concerned with that. That's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
And another point that I wanted to mention, which is powerful about this hadith, right? Which is when the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he is, correcting Usama radiallahu anhu, and he's telling him that he's made a mistake. Did the Prophet place a ruling on him that he's a fasiq, or that he's this, or he's that? Yeah, did the Prophet place a ruling on him?
No.
He didn't, right? But what the Prophet ﷺ did was just showed him the magnitude of what he just did, right? And this is another point to show you that some people, when they see people committing sins, like you mentioned, they're going to say, oh, you're a fasiq, you're a criminal. Allah's not going to forgive you. Allah's never going to forgive you. It's not for us to place these titles on people, like you mentioned before. It's not for us. These are things for the ulama and the kitab and the sunnah.
Even the ulama can't say you're gonna go hell.
Exactly. But
to label someone.
But to label someone that you're a sinner, you're a mubtadi', you're a kafir, you're this, or you're that, it's not us. It's not our job.
Just to conclude on one final point, it's also important that those people who are in the field of da'wah, giving, calling to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that they do it in the correct way, innit, with a speech that's going to, not drive the people away, because sometimes people, they just go out and they're so, difficult with the people that, at the end of the day, no one wants to listen to you no more, akhi. You're like, well, you're just, like, you have to know the audience that you're talking to. It's like one person comes out, he's just blasting everyone left, right, center, and he's talking to a bunch of 6-year-olds. Like, the correlation there is like, bro, they're 6. Come on, like, do you understand? So it's very.
And this is where wisdom comes in.
Yeah.
Can I give an example? Yeah, like
the last point that we'll go through.
Yeah. It's quite a few points, isn't it?
I'll ask the question to Abu Abda Aziz. You asked.
Let him make his point.
So the point of the last question.
Okay, so a sister who comes to one of my classes mentioned that she stopped going to a particular masjid. Okay, she wears jilbab and whatnot.
No.
But she goes to a masjid where the sisters, they believe it's obligatory to wear the niqab. Okay, and sad because sadly, people who attribute themselves to Salafiyah have given a very bad name to the Salafis, making them seem like they're all, I just want to eat you. and this is an example of a lack of wisdom. Yeah, you got a sister who's coming to the masjid. Yeah, she's coming to study. She's coming to the classes. Yeah, you got sisters who've been studying for years. Some of them travelled abroad. These sisters, in this particular masjid, travelled abroad with their husbands and they studied in the Middle East and whatnot. So they've been doing this thing for years. You got a young sister who's coming, and what did they say to her? They said, but basically what they were trying to tell her was like, don't come unless you're wearing a niqab. And the reason for it was because they said you're becoming a fitna for our husbands.
Wow.
Yeah, so firstly I'm thinking, what the hell is your husband doing in the women's section? Because he's not supposed to see. Yeah, he's not supposed to know what's going on there. The second thing is yo, like, she's come to the masjid. That's part of the process. What you don't ward them away. It's like we were having this discussion, right? We were saying when we did our Afi Cup tournament, we were saying we're gonna put down some rules that you can't come to play if you got like earring on this, that, and Ustad Abdurrahman was like, yo. He goes, they're coming to benefit. You know what I'm saying? To learn. They'll you're trying to take them on a journey of change now, but you're stopping them at the door. You're saying don't even come in. Like, of course they're of course they're sinning right now. That's the point. You wanted to reach out to the sinners. So when they come to you, they're gonna come with the baggage of the sin, right? So to stop them from coming through the door because of the sin, that's not wisdom. When they come through and they're with you and you're giving them doubt, then you know what I'm saying. Then you build. You see what I'm saying? And people, they love to focus on issues that are of lesser importance than when it comes to issues that are of greater importance. Like, for example, you got a person who's not even praying, and all day you're telling her stop wearing makeup, put the hijab on. Stop, smoking. He's not, let him pray first. Prioritize. This is where wisdom comes into place. You see what I'm saying?
Going back to my question, I don't know if you remember it. Do you want to repeat the question that I said?
What question?
So can someone who they themselves are doing a sin tell someone else not to do that sin, or are they a hypocrite because they're doing it themselves, so they can't tell someone else to do it?
No, like, even if you're doing the sin, upon you is to enjoy the good and forbid the evil.
No.
So if you yourself are smoking, you still have to enjoy the good and forbid the evil. I want to mention something Imran did. So I want to mention the point that Imran mentioned earlier on, that if you see a brother coming to the masjid, for example, you might see a brother, he might come, with wearing a shirt that has pictures in it, or he's wearing an earring. Alhamdulillah, at least he's praying. Don't make him run away from the masjid. Some of our elders, may Allah forgive them and have mercy upon them. If a brother comes to the masjid and maybe he's wearing an earring or he's wearing a chain or a necklace or a tattoo, they start shouting at him, blasting him, and you make him, and he's gonna run away. He's never gonna come back to the masjid. He's never ever gonna come back to the masjid. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he says, وَلَوْ كُنْتَ فَضًّا غَلِيظَ الْقَلْبِ لَانْفَضُّوا مِنْ حَوْلِكَ فَبِمَا رَحْمَةٍ مِنَ اللَّهِ لِنْتَ لَهُمْ وَلَوْ كُنْتَ فَضًّا غَلِيظَ الْقَلْبِ لَانْفَضُّوا مِنْ حَوْلِكَ. By Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy, by Allah's mercy, you are soft to them, you are gentle to them. And if you are harsh-hearted, they would have run away from you. They would have run away from you. So, like, it's having rafiq with them, having wisdom with them. Not the first time that you meet somebody that's wearing an earring. You're wearing an earring. Start shouting at him and start having like a fit and stuff like that.
It's true.
Allah knows. You did that one time, on the high street. You made the guy take off his earring.
No, hold on. I
had a nice discussion.
with him.
First.
Got him over. I talked about Salah first, and then I told him, just take the earring off. Of course, that's what I'm saying. Wisdom doesn't mean don't say it.
Ustad even always tells us, that a lot of people, they fall into a mistake of just pushing that the conclusion out to the people. You haven't even narrated the story to them.
Journey.
Exactly. Take them along a journey, build them up, and then they will come to that conclusion themselves.
It's funny because Ustad, I'm not going to lie, Allahumma barik, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless him. But Ustad, I think he was a lot of wisdom when it came to us, because when we went to him, we were like all over the place. We were basically ikhwanis, isn't it, or upon that kind of thing. May Allah protect us.
Dad's sperm videos.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that video. I stand by it till today. Nothing shara'i wise wrong with that video, and I believe it was filled with wisdom and hikmah.
Yeah, no problem. Carry on.
That's just, but,
Yeah, no problem.
I
Carry
think we have to cut that.
on. Carry on.
but I personally wouldn't do it again though. I personally just would feel
No,
a bit.
there's nothing wrong with it.
There's nothing wrong with
Let's do it right now.
To be if you want to, we can. Yeah, I don't mind.
A'udhu billah. Carry on.
Just bring the yoga.
Carry on.
Okay.
Carry on.
The point is there were other things, like for example making videos with girls and whatnot, and you know like silly things. You know.
Not making videos with girls. He means like
Inter-
dawah
inter-
videos asking girls. Not as in
Yeah.
you're not sitting next side by side making a video
There
with
was.
Yeah,
Hey, move
it's
on.
gone.
The point is we was doing wrong stuff. You know, really.
a girl. Wow, I thought your jahiliyyah wasn't that. Like, no, not jahiliyyah, but as in like.
It was an interview.
no,
It was an interview.
A lot of people pushed the permissibility to these kind of things. man.
People
That's the
told
sad
us it's
thing.
permissible.
And there's a video of what's his name, Yasir Qadi, where he's being interviewed.
Yo, people
by
do
his
that
sister.
nowadays. man.
Bro, people told me it's permissible. At least I wasn't making a reaction video looking at a woman who's half naked and letting everyone else see her. Do you see? The point is that it was it was a problem, right? The video Professor Lawrence Krauss when I ran down the street. It was rough. We were proper rough. We were rough around the edges. We were proper off the manhaj, yeah? Ustad Bahman never once, I remember he didn't once tell me this is wrong. Rather he told me indirectly. It was like he never shoved it down my throat.
It was more sort of like he took us on a journey of
Yeah. It's like for example
and
I would
we
ask
came to
him.
realizations ourselves. Like,
Yeah.
that means this is wrong, right? He's like, that's what the ayah says. That's what the hadith says.
But do you know why he could adopt that approach with us? It's because we committed to being with him. Now, do you see, we were coming to him regularly. Every week we're spending time with him. So he said, okay, this is an opportunity where I can lay foundations. And he would never come out of his way. For example, it took him a year to tell me, Imran, I think you should start growing your beard now. It took me a year.
But does that mean he wasn't forbidding the evil?
He wasn't. But I'm saying he was laying foundations.
Because
So-
he knew that you...
So when it came time to tell me grow the beard, I remember I did try to debate it. He was like, but remember we learned this principle from Usul al-Fiqh that applies in the hadith. Al-amru taqtadi al-wujub. Where's the qarina? Where's the thing that you're trying to say that this command is not obligatory? You're trying to say this command is recommended. But he trapped me. He trapped me from all different sides. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, okay. Same with the issue of taking pictures. I was like, okay, I understand it now. But that's what the person who's, sometimes you got a relationship with someone. You know you're going to be a wow. Don't down the throat straight away. He just said, okay, I'm going to teach you Aqeedah now. We're going to go from books to the Salaf. We're going to study Aqeedah, Manhaj. So we're studying. I can't remember, I used to love Yasir Qadi and all these people at that times. I used to debate with Ustad. Oh, the Ustad, Yasir Qadi is amazing. We don't know. He's the Yasir Qadi Ibn Taymiyyah of today, Yaqi. I was fighting for it.
He said he's the Shaykh al-Islam.
Yeah, I said Shaykh al-Islam of today. He's Shaykh al-Islam.
Wallahi.
Fi hadha zaman. I was arguing. And Ustad, he never really debated. He just said, no worries, we're going to teach you Aqeedah. We're going to learn. So it was building. And next thing you know, 2 years later,
You're refuting it.
I'm just saying that sometimes
It was a process.
you understand people are not going to change overnight. Do you see what I'm saying? And prioritize. He said Aqeedah is the main thing. I'm going to teach them. But at the same time, if anyone ever asked him, Ustad, should we go to bed? Ustad, is taking pictures haram? He would give a straight answer. It's haram. This is wrong. But he didn't shove it down the throat. Do you see what I'm saying?
Okay.
Just to
on that
summarize
point,
what he said,
Allahu
yeah.
Akbar. Go on.
So is it like we said something and then he just took it on and we have to come back in it because I think it's a bit too much for everyone. This was amazed.
It's a bit
Is
hard.
it getting hot? Is it getting hot?
Again,
I'm more in the winter
okay,
for
let's
us.
should we just end it?
Let's call it a day, inshallah. Yeah, we'll call it a day and day. I don't
Basically,
know.
enjoying good.
Enjoying
And
good.
Enjoying the good, forbid the
Nice.
evil. I don't know if you guys noticed in the last episode, and even in this episode, there was an orange hair. I don't know why we just wanted to see if anyone noticed it. So if you did notice
You
it,
wanted to see.
yeah,
No.
I wanted to see if anyone noticed it.
Okay, can I mention something? It's about a comment somebody made.
Okay.
Okay. 3 Chai Mabais ago, right?
This is intense.
Right? 3 Chai Mabais ago,
Yeah.
I kind of mocked you for a mistake that you made with an English word, right?
No,
No, he
we
did,
both
he
did.
did,
We
he
both
did.
did. Can we
We
play the
both
clip?
did.
Can we play the clip?
You played the clip, right? Now, there was one person in the comment section that got extremely offended as to why we did that.
Show the comment.
I don't think the comments there. Oh no,
Yeah.
you screenshot
Say
it.
Nasser, show the
But
comment.
I just wanted you guys to know that for the time that I've known Abu Bakr, which is close enough to just over 2 years now, I've suffered a lot by being insulted and ridiculed with my
I wanna say
Arabic.
insulted.
Insulted
Corrected.
and ridiculed
Correct.
and mocked about
Indeed.
my grammar and
Double
my
negatives.
double negatives.
Using
So
superlatives.
the
in
one
incorrect
time
way.
we did it in the show
That was so
was
funny.
just a kind of revenge thing, which is permissible for us to do. Okay, it was permissible.
But it's better to forgive.
It'd be better to forgive, but it was permissible.
But it was even
But it was-
funnier. That was the second take. In the first take of that same show, I just corrected. I think it was Strides. Someone said something, and I corrected you. But then we started again.
Point being,
The guy was
it was just a
disgusted
joke.
in the comment. The
it
guy was like, Imran, the way you looked at Abu Bakr was so evil. I'm like, do you know this guy, the way the way he tortured me?
It's just funny because at one point
It's
I was
just
gonna have a
joke,
grammar era counter in the corner, but
Yeah,
I didn't.
that was the
That's
original
how
idea for
bad
it. Yeah,
this
man.
man's English is. I was gonna say to him, let's have
These
him in
man,
the
these
corner.
man's English.
These man's
These man's
yeah.
English.
These man's English.
These man's English.
Yes, what's
The
wrong with
singular as the plural.
That's
You can do
slang.
that in Arabic.
That's slang.
If you have the alif,
Islam.
alif lam, if it's istighraqi, right? If it's this.
But this is not Arabic. It's
Okay,
English.
The
but when I
point
tell you
being-
slang,
the
when I
point-
tell you slang, you have an issue. When I-
You use it completely.
Listen,
wrong.
but slang is not the standardized language.
The point being, what he was gonna do, it was from the beginning of Chai went by. He wanted to
You
have
say
a
most
meetup.
biggest.
He
Look at the slang. Look at the slang. Hold on. By the way, I don't say that. No, it was someone else who said it on
Me,
WhatsApp.
I do
I'm
that.
sorry, I don't say
You
that.
guys do it.
No, I
I
don't.
do
I don't
generally
say
speak.
that. I don't say that.
I got. Should we just end it here?
Not that
خلاص.
specific word, but
بارك
generally
الله
speaking, you
فيك.
guys.
بارك الله فيكم. السلام عليكم. السلام عليكم.
We're embarrassed ourselves in front of our guests. Sorry, that's
Put it there,
There has to be
inshallah.
some editing إن شاء الله.
Do some editing, inshallah.
بارك الله فيك.
Until next time, yeah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.